All right, Will, let's check out one of your runs up on Fallen Timbers. This day, if you don't remember, was pretty ruddy, difficult conditions. You did well. Um, let's take a look in here. Pretty level shoulders. Got some direction done. Um, one thing about ruts is it's real steep by the pole because, the snow gets pushed out here, forming the rut. And therefore the snow by the gate is pretty steep. The problem is to decide if the ruts are usable or not. Unfortunately, a lot of our courses, the ruts are too low. They'd be called unusable. We tried to sneak in um, on the steep part, and it's really steep, and you kind of like fell in here. So, um, sometimes it's better just to ride the rut. Um, but these are probably not usable. So the idea would be give yourself more room, above the pole in the rise line. You didn't give yourself much room there. I mean, you're here. Give yourself more room for this turn so we can kind of bring shape back and be above the rut and just absorb there will be a bump here and absorb that thing coming out. Because here it's kind of tough. You really steep. You kind of fell in, kind of slid down. Most of your turns down here, so scrubbing speed came in low here. I don't know. Hairpins. Um, we haven't worked much together yet, so I don't know if this was just because you were coming in late and low. You didn't have time. But the bottom line on hairpins are you have two choices. That top gate right there, you do what you're doing, cross blocking, but you've got to alternate the hand. You cannot clear the two inside poles with the inside hand. So you can alternate, or you could inside clear the top pole with your right arm, right now, the other arm, and then use that arm. Bottom line is you've got to have your right arm. You've got to cross block the two poles there on a hairpin for a strong exit, and that's not strong. So bottom line, again, you have to cross block the exit. I don't care what you do on the top pole, either using the same arm, so one arm throughout, or alternate. If you want to alternate, which is the preferred way in the World Cup and the better skiers, but you got to be quick. So choice is yours, but you've got to cross block the exit for a strong exit. So here we are here. Pretty good turn there. My one thought was be here, kind of sitting back, right? Kind of in the back seat. That's why you kind of losing a little bit of the arc there and the edging. So you can see not a lot of ankle flexion. I mean, I'd rather see your ankles, your shins going, kind of that way. So not much ankle flexion. Kind of backseat and never really got them up. You want your hips, you got to make a good move in the transition. You got to take those hips and move them up over the boots. We got to move through the transition, get in the front. So you get in the front of the boot, just a little bit back throughout this turn, but a good job on some other stuff. I mean, I like the line here. You came out a little bit, brought some shape back to the pole here. Got this turn done. One thing I would say is your feet, tend to be kind of a little bit too narrow. That's kind of narrow there to allow for any type of angulated and strong position and really rolling them up. So I'd like to see a little wider stance and a more consistent stance throughout the turn. But tough conditions. You kind of stay ahead of it here, and we don't really know what happened down here, but you decided to take a break. So bottom line is, let's make sure we have, when it's rutted, give yourself more room above the pole. Bringing shape back to the pole and absorb the bump on the exit. Particularly if they're unusable. If they're usable ruts, mean the ruts are above the pole and next to the pole, not below, you just ride it like a bobsled. Make sure hairpins we already talked about. I don't care what you do in the first pole, either arm, but make sure you're cross-blocking the exit. And make sure we move through the turn, the transition, so we have our hips up over the boots at the top of the turn, next turn, and be in the front seat and a little wider width. You tend to have kind of a narrow stance, hard to really get a good edge angle with the kind of narrow feet. Work on those, and it should help.